This is Boomer Life on CL 650.
Welcome back to the program. In studio with me from Jericho Counseling Clinic is Director of Clinical Services, Don Schooler. Jericho has 3 locations around Vancouver at 805 West Broadway, at Metrotown in Burnaby, and in downtown Vancouver right there on Cole Harbour. So where was the first location?
In Burnaby, actually.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, and then so you moved a little closer to where the action is in the center of the city.
That's right, yes.
And that's just a demand thing more than anything else, right?
That's right, yes.
The clientele, there were so many people coming out of the city, driving out to Burnaby or whatever, you decided, well, they don't all need to do that anymore.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you're busy at all 3, aren't you?
We are busy at all 3, yes.
Talk to us about, you mentioned this before we went to break, Don, and I really want to spend a few moments on it, because if someone listening to us right now is close to the breaking point, and I'm saying that in a positive way, because if you're smart about recognizing your breaking point, you'll do something about it before you get broken. So if someone is interested, or if we are looking for ways to properly advise a friend to seek out counseling, talk to us a little bit. We'll talk about the process at Jericho. But this business of not being judgmental is huge, because everyone with the problem figures they're walking around with a big bullseye on their forehead that the whole world can see, troubled person, and we don't want to share that with many people.
No. Well, and very often they're terrified to reach out because they fear they will be judged by whomever they end up speaking with.
Or scolded.
Or shamed.
Yes.
I mean, it's really scary. And so if, I say to people, if you reach out and you get that experience, turn around and run the other way.
Right.
There is nothing wrong with you. There's a whole bunch wrong with whoever responded that way.
Right.
But you need competent, confident, kind people to provide help to you, and you deserve that. And it's one of the things that it's one of our mantras, is to be open and caring and non-judgmental, because that's what works for people.
And you have a technique which I find rather attractive. You will sit down with a person who is interested in some counseling, and you won't charge them for an interview to learn a little bit about Jericho, and perhaps to meet a counselor or more that might work for some kind of program, correct?
Absolutely. Well, yes, the research shows predominantly that most of the the positive outcome attributed to counseling is based in the relationship between the therapist and the client. And so, you want to make sure that the person went to school, paid attention, got the degrees, has the insurance, has some experience.
Right. Yes.
Now that all that's taken care of,
right.
Do I like you? Mm-hmm. Could I imagine telling my story to you? And that's where the rubber hits the road, so to speak.
And this is where a lot of guys, of course, fold up like a house of cards. Yeah. I'm not sharing my story with any stranger.
Right. And again, this is where Jericho Counseling, Jericho Counseling really has become the embodiment of my own personal and professional values about how you deliver the best counseling and therapy experience to clients, which is you bring people in and give them this opportunity. The only investment that you make is coming in the door.
Sure.
And kind of the therapist, the counselor should do the rest. We don't take a phone call, and the beginning of the phone call isn't, what's your name, what's your date of birth, what's your problem,
right.
What are you not good at?
Right.
And oh, you got to come at this time or that time, and oh, we're way out of your way. Mm-hmm. We say, okay. We do all the talking pretty much in the beginning.
Right.
We want to actually find out what day of the week works for you, what time of the day works for you. Do you need evening? Do you need weekend?
Right.
We get that part sorted out. Do you want to talk to a male or a female?
Uh-huh.
We get that part sorted out.
Okay.
Do you want someone with gray hair like me, or do you want somebody who's a little bit fresher and kind of understands text messaging?
Sure.
What do you want? And then once we've got that sorted out, if you want to tell us what you're coming for, you could do that, but we really kind of discourage it in a way, because we don't want you to tell your story more often than you need to.
Right.
It's really private and really precious.
Right. And chances are, if you're at the point where you actually recognize that you need some counseling, you got a lot bottled up inside.
You got a lot bottled up. And so we don't want, in a phone call with we call them our directors of first impressions.
Okay.
Our reception team.
All right.
Because they're your first impression.
Sure, you bet.
First line. We don't really want you telling them too much, because we want you to get into these offices, and then you meet someone like me. I'm not taking new clients and haven't for a few years, but I've got these wonderful colleagues that we're bringing up, and you get in those rooms and you go, yeah, tell me a little bit about you. And the therapist says, this is who I am. This is what you can expect if you decide to work with me. These are some of the conversations we're going to have. This is how much it costs. This is when I'm available. This is confidentiality policy.
Right.
We go through all of that, and you get to kind of feel me out and go, yeah, I like you enough to tell you more.
Right.
Or, I'm sure you're lovely, and I'm going to keep looking.
You're just not my cup of tea.
You're just not right for me.
Sure, right.
And so if we get this part right, if we get a good fit between our clients and the counselor, we have a much better chance of having a successful outcome. Because counseling's hard. It's hard work. You're going to reflect on yourself. You're going to look at some of your vulnerabilities. You want to do that with someone that you communicate easily with,
right,
that you feel they get you and you get them. You don't want to work too hard at that part. And you sure don't want to feel judged. You want to feel cared for just in the right way. You want to feel safe and open to talk. And that's that free consultation. And we offer any new client who wants that, any current client who wants that, a free consultation, kind of as many of those as you need to find the right person to work with.
Sure, and you've got a couple of dozen counselors
That's
down
right.
there, so there's lots to choose. Lots of bench strength.
Lots of bench strength.
Just to say nothing of 3 locations as well. So you really are doing your level best to make it as easy as possible to accommodate individuals. Talk to us a little bit about the demographics, the types of people that you see, because this is boomer life. We're talking people sort of 50, 55 plus, right?
Yes,
so are we boomers as a group given to going to counseling? Are we a little better at it than our parents, maybe?
I would say they're definitely a little better than our parents. We in our clinic, our youngest client was 2.5, and we've had clients in their 90s. All right, so we really span the breadth of human life.
Okay.
I think that this sort of stage, 50-plus stage of our lives, we have some different opportunities. We have some different kinds of resources to pay attention to ourselves. Some of us have a little more time than we used to.
True.
To do that. Some of us are discovering we have a little bit of money to spend on ourselves. This might be a good way to do that. Some of us are discovering this would be a good gift to give to our adult children, either doing my own work or paying for some counseling for them. Right. And
so do you have instances, for example, where suppose there's a young couple experiencing marital difficulties, and mom and dad, okay, we'll get you some counseling here because we don't want to. It takes a little work, kids. You got to work at these marriage things. It's not like a storybook. So can we get you into a counselor? Do moms and dads get involved with Jericho then?
They do, and again one of the things that we want to do is we want to make counseling accessible. So we want to reduce the stigma, get the judgment out of there.
Sure.
And then we want to make it easy for people to get in the door. So locations, you got to have parking. You got to be on the SkyTrain. We want it to be easy for people to get there. Doesn't mean you don't have to pay for parking, but anyhow, there's lots of it there. And then we want it to be easy for people. Lots of places you'll call up as a parent and say, I want to book something for my son and his wife.
Right.
And the answer will be, well, they have to call in themselves.
Right.
And we say, how can we help make that easier?
Sure.
Let's book that in. And there's some boxes to tick, but we make it easy, and we have lots of that goes on.
So do young people occasionally get, quote, dragged in kicking and screaming by parents who are unwilling to see them abandon the relationship at such an early stage?
We won't actually see them if they're kicking and screaming.
Well, good for you.
If they're a little reluctant and kind of heels first, we'll take them.
Okay, all right.
But really, they have to be in favor of the exploration.
Okay.
And very often we'll have the conversation of, here's how you sell it to anybody in your life, which is you just come and meet them. If you hate the experience or you don't want to go back, you don't have to. Come with me. Let's meet these people, see what they're all about. Maybe they can help.
You can learn a lot more while we take this following break here. It's JerichoCounseling.com. That's the website. It's a terrific website. All of the staff people are listed and all of the counseling services available. We haven't even touched on the group stuff yet, and we will when we return here on CIL 650.
Celebrating the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life on CIL 650.